For thousands of years, humans have created countless structures that have amazed the entire world. And some locations have gone straight onto the list of the most dangerous places on Earth. A dam that can slow the Earth's rotation by about 0.06 microseconds per day. A house balanced between massive rock formations isolated in rugged high mountains. A walkway attached directly to a cliff, where every step hangs above a deep drop. Is this the peak of construction engineering, or reckless ambition, pushing beyond every safety limit? Get ready to face some of the most breathtaking locations coming up next. A tower weighing thousands of tons has been slowly leaning to one side. And it's been happening for nearly 850 years. It's the Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy. The structure stands nearly 57 meters tall. Its foundation is only about 3 meters deep. The entire tower sits on soft ground made up of sand, clay, and silt. By the time the third level was built, the ground had already started sinking unevenly. That's when the tower first began to lean. The tilt kept increasing over the centuries. Its enormous weight continued pressing down on the same side. At one point, the top was more than 5 meters out of vertical. In 1990, the tower was closed because of concerns about its stability. Engineers installed hundreds of tons of lead as a counterweight, reinforced the foundation, and carefully removed soil from the higher side to reduce the lean. Little by little, thanks to those efforts, the tower is still standing today. What started as a construction mistake eventually became the most famous symbol of the city of Pisa. If the massive body of water behind this concrete wall were ever to get out of control, the consequences wouldn't stop at a single structure. It could affect the entire downstream region of China's longest river. The Three Gorges Dam stretches across the Yangtze River. The dam is more than 2.3 kilometers long and 185 meters high. Behind it sits a reservoir holding tens of billions of cubic meters of water. That enormous volume puts constant pressure on the entire structure every single day. NASA has said that the amount of water stored in the reservoir can slow the Earth's rotation by about 0.06 microseconds per day. It can also shift the Earth's rotational pole by about 2 centimeters. The project is also home to the world's largest hydroelectric power station by installed capacity, just one dam, yet powerful enough to reshape the flow of the Yangtze River and leave a tiny mark on the Earth itself. Cabane de Bertol looks like a small building stranded on a rocky peak in the middle of the Alps. The rock beneath it is too narrow to expand outward, so the entire structure was built upward with 4 levels stacked on top of each other. From many angles, almost every side of the building opens out into empty space. To get inside, you have to climb a series of steel ladders anchored directly to the rock. One ladder leads to the next. There are no wide platforms below, just the cliff face and open air. The main entrance connects directly to the steel ladder system attached to the rock. Step through that door, and you'll find a shelter that can hold around 80 people at an elevation of more than 3,300 meters. The hut still serves as a refuge for mountain climbers. It stands in a place where the weather, the altitude, and the terrain all work against any ordinary structure. In the middle of the Aegean Sea stands a towering rock pillar. No sandy beach, no dock, just waves crashing against it from every direction all year long. At the top sits Tourlitis Lighthouse, one of the very few lighthouses in the world built on a rock completely separated from the mainland. The structure takes up just enough space to fit on the top of the rock. Below it, the sea is constantly in motion. Every strong wind and powerful wave hits the small rock foundation directly. Even routine maintenance depends on sea conditions. There isn't a road leading here like there is for most lighthouses. The first lighthouse was built in the late 19th century. It was destroyed during World War II. In 1994, Tourlitis was rebuilt on the very same rock. More than 100 years later, the structure still faces heavy waves, strong winds, and a sea that almost never stops moving. Keeping a lighthouse standing on top of a small rock pillar in the middle of the sea is an engineering achievement on its own. A house, but with almost no ground beneath it. Bivacco Buffa di Perrero is attached directly to a cliff in Italy's Dolomites. The shelter sits at an elevation of about 2,760 meters. The entire structure is anchored to the rock with a system of steel anchors and heavy-duty bolts. Below it is a mountainside that drops almost straight down. Inside, there's only enough space for a few people to spend the night. The shelter wasn't built one brick at a time on the mountain. Its sections were prefabricated in the valley, then transported up and assembled directly onto the cliff. To reach it, you have to cross the Ivano di Bona via ferrata. It's one of the most famous protected climbing routes in the Dolomites. Other than that route, the only practical way to get there is by helicopter. A tiny shelter, suspended in the air, held in place by human engineering alone. Two cliffs are separated by a canyon nearly 170 meters deep. Far below, the Tara River looks like a narrow ribbon of water. The Durdevica Tara Bridge spans that gap with 5 concrete arches. The entire bridge stretches 365 meters. Its largest arch alone spans 116 meters without a single support rising from the canyon below. When it was completed in 1940, it was the largest concrete arch road bridge in Europe. The bridge deck is shared by both vehicles and pedestrians. There is almost no extra space along the sides for people to stop and take in the view. One glance over the railing reveals the full depth of the canyon directly beneath your feet. Every vehicle that crosses transfers its entire load through the 5 concrete arches below, a structure designed to hang over open space for more than 8 decades. Most hotels are built where they're easy to reach. Aescher Mountain Inn sits in a place that's almost the complete opposite. The building stands on a narrow ledge along the slopes of the Alpstein Mountains in Switzerland. A sheer rock wall rises directly behind it, while the land drops away into the valley out front. Parts of the inn are supported directly by the rock itself. The roof and walls fit beneath an overhanging section of the mountain. Step outside the entrance, and the terrain quickly turns into steep slopes and narrow rocky ledges. There isn't a road that leads here by car. The shortest route starts with the Ebenalp cable car. From the upper station, visitors still have to walk through the wild Kirchley caves. Then follow the mountainside trail for another 15 to 20 minutes before reaching the inn. Even surrounded by rugged terrain, Aescher welcomes guests for several months each year. A hotel built in a place where most people would expect to see nothing but a bare cliff. Massive rock pillars rise straight out of the ground. Their tops are only wide enough for a handful of small buildings. Nearly every side drops away in steep cliffs. The Meteora Monastery complex is spread across towering sandstone pillars in central Greece. Some of the monasteries stand more than 300 meters above the base of the cliffs. Space on top is extremely limited. That's why many terraces, balconies, and walkways were built right along the cliff edges. Just a few steps beyond the buildings, the ground falls away into the deep valley below. To reach them, visitors have to climb stairways carved directly into the mountainside. Some entrances are connected by small bridges stretching from the rock face to the monastery gates. Even today, some monasteries still use cable hoists to bring up food, supplies, and daily necessities. In a place where vehicles can't reach, everyday deliveries still happen high above the cliffs. More than 6 centuries have passed, and these monasteries still cling to rock summits that are almost completely separated from the ground below. Their location is what makes Meteora one of the most extraordinary architectural sites in Europe. At the Kakum Canopy Walkway, you won't see a single concrete pillar rising from the ground. Towering ancient trees serve as the natural anchor points for the load-bearing cables. Between each anchor hangs a wooden suspension bridge high above the forest canopy. The walkway is located in Kakum National Park in Ghana. The entire route is about 350 meters long. Seven bridge spans connect one tree to the next at a height of around 40 meters. Each span is just over 30 centimeters wide, barely enough room for one person to walk across. The walkway is made of wooden planks. Protective netting and steel cables run along both sides. Every step sends vibrations through the entire structure. From the moment you step onto the first span until you reach the end, you stay almost entirely at treetop level. More than 20 years after opening, this suspension walkway remains one of the oldest canopy walkways still operating in Africa. El Caminito del Rey wasn't originally built for tourists. It was constructed in the early 20th century so workers could travel between two hydroelectric power plants at opposite ends of the El Chorro Gorge in southern Spain. Its most famous section follows the cliff face about 100 meters above the Guadalhorce River. Some parts are only about 1 meter wide. A sheer rock wall rises on one side. The other side drops straight into the canyon below. The entire walkway is supported by steel beams and bolts drilled deep into the rock. Just looking down is enough to make you realize how far above the water you are. After decades of use, the structure fell into serious disrepair. Large sections of concrete cracked and collapsed. The walkway was eventually closed. Today, a new path has been built directly above the original one. But the remaining pieces of concrete still clinging to the cliff show just how dangerous it once was to cross this route. The Dachstein stairway to Nothingness doesn't lead to the top of the mountain. Instead, its 14 steel steps take you down beyond the edge of the cliff. At the bottom is a small glass platform. It extends completely out from the mountainside. Beneath it is a drop of nearly 400 meters. Standing there, you can look straight through the glass to the rocky slope below. The structure sits at an elevation of about 2,700 meters in Austria's Dachstein Mountains. It's fully exposed to the elements. Snow and ice can cover the steel steps. Even a thin, slippery layer is enough to make every step feel tense. The platform isn't supported by columns rising from the valley below. Its entire load is transferred back into the cliff through a system of steel beams and anchor points. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people come here to stand at one of the most exposed viewpoints in the Alps. Predjama Castle wasn't built on top of a hill. It was built directly into the mouth of a massive cave. Behind the castle rises a mountain, more than 120 meters high. In front of it is a nearly vertical cliff. The entire castle has only one side facing the outside. The other three sides are completely enclosed by the surrounding terrain. Behind the last rooms, a passage leads into a natural cave system, stretching more than 14 kilometers through the mountain. For centuries, that passage was used to bring food into the castle whenever the front entrance was under siege. The landscape turned Predjama into a fortress that was almost impossible to conquer. But it also meant The entire castle depended on the narrow space between the cliff and the cave entrance. From a distance, Monte Rosa Hut looks more like a giant metal crystal than a mountain cabin. The building sits at an elevation of nearly 2,900 meters, right on the edge of Switzerland's Gorner Glacier. There are no roads leading to it, no power grid, no outside water supply. Every part of the structure had to be flown in by helicopter and assembled on site. Its multifaceted aluminum exterior reflects light from every direction. The design helps capture solar energy while reducing heat loss in the icy environment. Solar panels generate most of the electricity. Water collection and wastewater treatment systems allow the hut to meet about 90% of its own operating needs. In a place where even staying alive isn't easy, the entire building continues to operate almost independently for months at a time on the glacier. Out here, the only thing keeping you secure isn't a railing. It's a single safety line connected to the track system above your head. The Macau Tower Skywalk sits about 233 meters above the ground on Macau Tower. The walkway is about 1.8 meters wide. It wraps around the outside edge of the observation deck. One side is the tower itself. The other drops straight down to the streets below. The entire structure is out in the open. No glass barriers, no guardrails. Participants can stand right at the edge or lean out over the side, with a walkway less than 2 meters wide. The structure turns the outer edge of the tower into a place where people can actually walk, a design that's still rare even among modern high-rise structures. Not many dams in the world are designed to deliberately create a flood, but Xiaolangdi Dam does exactly that almost every year. The dam is built on the Yellow River, one of the most sediment-filled rivers in the world. Silt constantly builds up at the bottom of the reservoir. If it's not removed, the dam's ability to control flooding gradually declines. That's why, from the very beginning, the dam was equipped with large bottom outlet gates. These outlets are located deep below the waterline, flushing sediment directly downstream. Each time the system is activated, multiple outlet gates open at the same time. High-pressure water surges out at a flow rate of thousands of cubic meters per second. The muddy water carries massive amounts of sediment. Huge plumes of water erupt in front of the dam. Powerful whirlpools also form downstream. In a single operation, tens to hundreds of millions of tons of sediment can be sent back into the river. Since 2002, these artificial floods have become a regular part of how Xiaolangdi Dam operates. The dam stores water. It also deliberately creates floods, all to keep an entire river flowing. Every brick, every block of stone, every drop of water that once supported life on top of Sigiriya had to be carried nearly 180 meters up. The massive rock rises almost completely apart from the plains of Sri Lanka. Its summit became the site of a royal palace. Fortress walls, water gardens, and royal living quarters in the 5th century. There was enough space for an entire complex, yet nearly every side ends in sheer cliffs. The only way up begins at the base of the rock. Stone steps connect with steel stairways attached directly to the rock face. Some sections pass between two massive boulders. Others are suspended entirely against the cliff. The remains of the palace foundations and the ancient water reservoir system are still visible at the top. Building and maintaining a settlement in a place like this alone is enough to make Sigiriya one of the boldest engineering achievements of the ancient world. How this bridge is narrower than the shoulder width of many adults, yet it stretches nearly half a kilometer across the Alps. The Charles Quornen Suspension Bridge is 494 meters long. The walkway is only 65 centimeters wide. The entire span crosses the Grabenguffer ravine without a single support column in the middle. Below is a drop of about 85 meters. The deck is made of steel grating. With every step, you can see straight down to the bottom of the ravine. The entire structure is supported by steel cables and a vibration damping system, keeping the bridge stable even when winds in the Alps reach around 180 kilometers per hour. The previous bridge at this location was destroyed by rockfall. That's why the new one was built at a higher elevation and completed in just about 10 weeks. A bridge nearly half a kilometer long, only 65 centimeters wide, yet strong enough to carry hundreds of people across one of Switzerland's most rugged landscapes. The Glacier Skywalk extends beyond the edge of a cliff on a curved steel platform. Below lies the Sunwapta Valley, about 280 meters down. The structure is located in Canada's Jasper National Park. The observation deck is shaped like a horseshoe. It projects about 35 meters out from the mountainside. The entire overhanging section is supported by steel beams and anchor points drilled deep into the rock. Every load is transferred back into the cliff. This design allows the entire platform to extend beyond the edge without a single support column underneath. The floor is made of high-strength laminated glass. Directly beneath your feet is the valley floor. Just a single layer of glass separates you from a drop of hundreds of meters. In a canyon in western Norway, a stepped bridge stretches across Vøringfossen waterfall. The walkway is made up of 99 connected steel steps. The Vøringfossen Bridge is about 47 meters long. Its two ends are offset by nearly 16 meters. Because of that, the bridge follows the slope of the landscape to connect two viewpoints on opposite sides of the canyon. Directly below, the waterfall plunges about 182 meters into the Mobudalen Valley. The entire structure is built from steel. Each section is anchored deep into the bedrock. This design helps keep the bridge stable on the steep terrain while constantly exposed to mist from the waterfall. Completed in 2020, the bridge turned a gap, once divided by the waterfall, into a pedestrian crossing. It also became one of the most unusual bridge designs in Europe. In the middle of Tokyo Bay, the road suddenly disappears beneath the sea. Cars keep moving for several more kilometers without seeing the sky. The Tokyo Bay Aqua-Line connects the cities of Kawasaki and Kisarazu. The route is about 15.1 kilometers long. Nearly 9.6 kilometers run through an underwater tunnel beneath the bay. The rest continues across a bridge over the sea. It's one of the longest combined tunnel and bridge systems in the world. The tunnel was built deep beneath the seabed. This design keeps it clear of one of Japan's busiest shipping routes. A continuous ventilation system keeps air flowing, while water pumps and emergency escape systems are always ready to maintain safe operating conditions. At the center of the route is Umihotaru, an artificial island built directly on the surface of the bay. It serves as both a rest area and the transition point between the tunnel and the bridge, a roadway where the most complex part lies completely beneath the water. More than 500 wooden steps keep changing direction along a nearly vertical cliff. They rise through multiple levels, each one taking you higher above lake canals below. This is the Montfalcó Walkways in Spain's Aragon region. Two large stairway sections are attached directly to the limestone cliffs. Some parts stand dozens of meters above the water. The walkway is only wide enough for pedestrians. Steel beams support each wooden step. Anchor points are drilled deep into the rock. Cable railings run along the outer edge. Every part of the structure is built to carry weight while suspended above the canyon and reservoir below. The walkway was built to connect Montfalcó with the Montrébé Gorge. The reservoir had cut off the original route between the two areas. Instead of carving a road through the mountain, engineers moved the entire path onto the cliff face. The result is a massive staircase that follows the rock while hanging high above the drop. Two rocky peaks at Glacier 3000 are connected by a suspension bridge 107 meters long. The space between the railings is only 80 centimeters wide. People almost have to walk in single file. Peak Walk by Tissot connects the viewpoint to Sex Rouge in Switzerland. The deck is made of steel grating. You can see straight through the openings to the mountainside below. Two main steel cables support the entire span across the fully exposed terrain. This location is regularly hit by strong winds, snow, and ice. Weather conditions are checked before the bridge opens. It can be closed immediately whenever conditions become unsafe. It is currently the only suspension bridge in the world that directly connects two mountain peaks. Peak Walk by Tissot opened in 2014. Before that, the only way to cross the gap between the two peaks was by cable car. The bridge turned that journey into a walkway for pedestrians. At the summit of France's Aiguille du Midi, a glass room extends beyond the edge of the observation deck. The site sits at an elevation of about 3,842 meters. Below, The mountainside and glaciers of the Mont Blanc Massif drop away more than 1,000 meters. The floor, ceiling, and 3 side walls are all made of glass. Each panel consists of 3 layers, with each layer about 12 millimeters thick. A steel frame supports the entire structure at the edge of the platform. The skywalk was engineered to withstand winds of up to about 220 kilometers per hour. It also has to handle temperature differences of around 60 degrees Celsius between the seasons and the harsh weather conditions high in the Alps. The skywalk opened in 2013 after 3 years of construction. A gap high in the mountains was transformed into a place where people can step straight out beyond the edge of the cliff. The road to Burg Hochosterwitz keeps winding around a steep rock outcrop. Each section passes through a different gate. To reach the top, you have to make your way through a total of 14 defensive gates. The fortress stands on a limestone rock about 160 meters high in Austria's Carinthia region. From here, the entire plain below is in full view. The steep terrain leaves only one route to the top. Each gate is positioned in a different location. Stone walls, tight bends, and the constant uphill climb slow anyone trying to get through. Even after passing one gate, several more layers of defenses still lie ahead. Thanks to its location and defensive design, Burg Hochosterwitz has never been captured by a direct assault. A fortress where the road leading up to it became the first line of defense. A curved structure of concrete and steel extends beyond the mountainside. The platform hangs over open space. This is the Biokovo Skywalk, built on the slopes of Ravnavlashka in Croatia. It sits at an elevation of about 1,228 meters. The observation deck is shaped like a horseshoe. The overhanging section extends about 11 meters beyond the cliff. Directly below, steep rock faces drop toward the Adriatic coast. The entire structure is supported by steel beams and anchor points drilled deep into the bedrock. The weight of the overhanging section is transferred back into the mountainside. This design allows the platform to project beyond the cliff without any support columns in front. The glass floor reveals the open space directly beneath your feet. Every step makes the height feel even more real. The railings are transparent as well. There's almost nothing separating you from the open air ahead. The Biokovo Skywalk opened in 2020. engineers transformed the edge of the mountain into an observation deck suspended completely beyond the cliff face. Here, the height and the transparent floor create an experience that makes many people stop before taking the next step. Sometimes, the bridge piers below completely disappear. All that's left is the roadway stretching across a sea of white clouds. This phenomenon often happens at the Millau Viaduct in southern France. The bridge spans the Tarn River Valley, where fog easily collects along the canyon floor. As the clouds rise, most of the structure below is completely hidden from view. The roadway is supported by 7 massive concrete piers. The tallest reaches 343 meters, making it even taller than the Eiffel Tower. A cable-stayed system keeps the entire structure stable in the strong winds that frequently sweep through at this elevation. At certain times, drivers can see little more than the road ahead. The ground disappears from sight. On both sides, there's nothing but clouds and sky. Building a bridge across the sea isn't the hardest challenge. Keeping it operating for decades in salt water is. That was the challenge the Xinghai Bay Bridge had to solve from the moment it was still on the drawing board. The sea crossing stretches more than 6 kilometers, connecting both sides of Xinghai Bay in the city of Dalian, with several different structural designs. Each one was chosen for a specific purpose. Offshore conditions are never stable. Sea winds blow year-round. Salt spray constantly settles on the structure. Humidity stays high. Together, these conditions speed up corrosion. That's why the steel is protected with multiple coatings. The concrete was also designed to reduce seawater from reaching the reinforcing steel inside. Dozens of bridge piers stand in the sea day and night. They have to withstand the weight of traffic, waves, and wind for decades. The Xinghai Bay Bridge wasn't built just to cross the water. It was designed to withstand the very environment that has surrounded it since day one. Before this bridge existed, this valley was a gap that was almost impossible for a railway to cross. The Millau Viaduct was built on the Belgrade Bar Railway in Montenegro. The bridge is nearly 500 meters long. The railway deck stands about 200 meters above the valley floor. When it was completed in 1973, it was the tallest railway viaduct in the world. The structure is supported by 5 massive concrete piers. The tallest rises more than 130 meters. Each span had to be assembled at an extraordinary height before being connected into one continuous railway line. Today, trains still cross this bridge every day. It takes less than a minute to pass over a gap that was once the greatest obstacle along the entire railway line. Some valleys are so deep that getting a single cable across becomes a challenge of its own. In Hubei province, the rugged terrain made cranes and many conventional construction methods impractical. Engineers had to find another solution. They used a rocket to carry the first guide cable across the gap. It was an engineering achievement that sounded more like science fiction than reality. That was the first step in building the Seedu River Bridge. The suspension bridge spans the Seedu River Valley, with its roadway standing nearly 500 meters above the river below. Once the first cable was in place, larger bundles of cables were pulled across, one by one. The bridge towers and main cable system gradually took shape. In the end, the entire structure connected the two mountainsides without a single support pier rising from the valley below. The Seedu River Bridge opened in 2009. Today, it remains one of the highest suspension bridges in the world. Above lies a deep strait, with ships constantly passing through. Below, a railway tunnel cuts through layers of rock that could crack and allow seawater to rush in at any time. The Seikan Tunnel connects Japan's islands of Honshu and Hokkaido. It stretches nearly 54 kilometers in length. More than 23 kilometers run beneath the floor of the Tsugaru Strait. Its lowest point sits about 240 meters below sea level. Construction began in 1971 and lasted nearly 2 decades. Engineers had to excavate through multiple layers of rock beneath the seabed. Groundwater continuously flowed into the tunnel, forcing the drainage and reinforcement systems to be expanded several times throughout construction. Even after the tunnel opened, strict safety standards remained in place. They are inside a long passage deep beneath the sea, with the tunnel portals dozens of kilometers away. That's why the Seikan Tunnel is equipped with emergency escape routes, ventilation systems, sensors, and emergency stopping areas. Human creativity and courage truly know no limits. We haven't just found ways to overcome nature, we've built some of our most remarkable structures right at the edge of danger. After exploring these breathtaking places, which one amazed you the most? And if you could visit just one of them in person, which would you choose? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoy journeys like this, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next adventure.